Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and let's get started. My great friend Bill Orender from Dallas. And, one thing is work is fueled by progress and having goals and making progress towards it. It's like racing. If you're racing against somebody, I would never forget Jeff Castelline said one time, he said, in anyone, he said, even a junior high kid in gym class will run faster if they've got somebody in the lane next to them. If they're running a 40, you're timing them in the 40 or something like that. And so there's things that can bring out, you need to put yourself in situations that will bring out your best performance. And that's one thing is peer pressure. You get in a situation with a team, you got goals where you're racing against other people, but also the goal, the peer pressure, putting a time frame on it, things like that. But getting yourself to just do little things will build into where you'll go, like little things. I'll give you an example, Bill. There's a general who wrote, like one of the SEAL team generals, he retired, he wrote a book about winning himself. And he said, the first thing in the morning is winners make their bed. The idea is you have a winning routine, and I've never known of a winner who does not have their own personal routine. And it's not good enough to just hear, okay, the top 10 people in the world, they do these things when they start off the day. No, you got to find out what you need to do to start off and end the day where you can be the most productive. Brushing your teeth, doing some, I have a thing called Activate, like 6 or 7 or 8 different little exercises that I'll do to basically stretching and things like that. To just like, I'm not full training at the gym, but I'm activating the body. As you get older, it can creak up on you and do things to activate. And then you got like boom, 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 boom. But, just your regular routine things that, when you're tired, you don't want to get all these things done before you go out, lay out the clothes for the next day or something like that. But what I try and do is tell myself is I'm going to give myself the advantage of a good start tomorrow. And so I'm going to do all these crap things that are annoying, but I focus on the benefits, and I'm going to have, and I'm going to start the day because I don't want to have to come out later in the day and come back and do the stuff I should have done in the first half hour of the day. It's a matter of you set yourself up to get the little thing. A lot of learning how to work and continuing to keep that momentum, because that's something you can fall apart. When crisis hit, that's what people do is they stop doing normal things on a normal schedule. And so learning how to work and finding the right things to work on and doing that at the level you need to work on is lots starts with the little things, and get those things knocked out of the way so you can have a clear head. But if your clutter will hold you back. And so I'm interested in your viewpoint about and what you have to say about learning how to work hard. Because you said you had to do that,
First of all, you have to understand a goal isn't a goal without a plan attached to it. You may have a goal to drive to California, but what's your plan to get there? Well, you work your plan and then you get your goal. And so that's what I learned in college, that I had to study 5 hours a day, and I literally got a sheet of paper and I tracked it. How many hours a day, when I could not stop studying till I X'd off 5. And I did that 5 days a week. Then when I got in our industry, I got a sheet of paper and I figured out to reach my goals, doing the math, what I had to do income-wise. I knew I had to put away $4,000 a month, Larry, and within 10 years to be worth a millionaire. That's what it is. $4,000 at 12%. In 10 years, you're a millionaire. So I figured out I got to start saving $4,000 a month. That required me to go find an opportunity that would pay me so much money that I can save $4,000 a month after taxes and after taking care of my family. Then I decided, what do I have to do to attain that? And I said, if I do this on a daily basis, I'm slam dunking all my goals: travel, home, net worth, everything I wanted, car, everything. So I made up I got a sheet of paper, just a blank sheet of paper, drew 5 lines on it, and then put the numbers just like I did in college. And I made phone calls every day. So I didn't work. And I never said I worked hard. I worked. I did my job. And I did the things necessary for me to make my goals come true. And so I made my phone calls every day. And I had so many phone calls I had to make a day and so many appointments. And I blocked out every day how many hours a day I was going to be on the phone. So if it was 10 to 12 every day, I'm on the phone booking appointments. You could call me and I wouldn't even take your phone call. I wouldn't even take my wife's phone call unless there was an emergency, because that was precious gold time to me. And I did that day after day, and it became a habit. And so now my habits create the success, not the work. It's the habit of the work that we think is so hard. But once you get in the habit of doing it, and then next thing you know, it became, I was making the money I wanted to make. I kept my program up. And to this day, Larry, I've got some elements in my life. If you were to take a look at my daily calendar, that I put down, like exercise every day. I put down how many minutes I exercise every day. I've been doing it for 40 plus years. I don't know any other way to operate, because if I want to be healthy, as you know, Larry, if I'm health conscious as you are, you've got to do things today. You go to the doctor, you have a heart attack. The doctor says, well, lose weight and exercise. I thought, that's interesting. That cures a heart attack. So how do you prevent a heart attack? Lose weight, exercise. Isn't that something? And so an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And most people wait for the pound to hit them in the head to force them to do the things they don't want to do when they don't want to do them. But I figure I'll pay the price now. Like Virginia said, I'm going to do today what others won't, so I can have tomorrow what others can't. And successful people form the habits of doing things that the unsuccessful people don't want to do. See, successful people don't want to do them either. It's not
right.
Like like you like making phone calls. Oh, no, I don't. I like the results that come from making phone calls. I don't like to exercise every day. I like the results that come from exercise. And so when you take a look at your life, either you're going to be disciplined or someone's going to discipline you. I prefer to be disciplined because I don't like authority. I especially don't like financial authority. So if I don't want somebody, a lot of people can't discipline themselves, so we go get a job and a boss disciplines them and gives them 1/5 the pay they could have had.
Yeah.
So I'll discipline you. Be here at a certain time. Take your lunch. If not, I'll be mad at you, and I'll pay you 1/5 of what you could have made because you can't discipline yourself. So again,
wait. I'll tell you a couple of things. First of all, what I had the attitude, and you referred to this like things are either this way or that way. I had the attitude people are either fat or their metabolism. You're born with it. Your metabolism, and victim. And I had the attitude growing up, I was very thin growing up because I played sports all the time. Then you get in college and the pounds start coming on, and, I'm carrying 20 pounds more than I needed to be carrying, all the way up into out of my first career in building construction, and then when I started financial services. And in some of those meetings that we would have, manager meetings, I remember there was a table at the break. It was a morning meeting, and the coffee and the orange juice, but then the donuts and the pastries out there, And there was this really trim guy that, of course, he's one of these guys who looks like Brad Pitt, the Brad Pitt guy, or shall we say Randy Godfrey, type guy, the guy who just appears like he's perfect. He's never had a care in his life, and he's just naturally trim. Okay, he was a good-looking guy, well-dressed, had a great wife with him and everything. And we were standing in front looking at the donuts, and he spontaneously said, "I love donuts." He said, "I'd love to eat all of them." But he said, "But I can't." And he walked away, and I thought, oh, you can make a decision on that? I just thought somehow, you see people like, I know I was over at Rusty Crossland's house out here in Aspen once, years ago, and there was like a container of ice cream. And Rusty went in there and he took a couple of scoops and put it in the bowl and ate that. And I'm thinking, I have never not eaten. If ice cream comes in I don't ever remember. I don't ever remember leaving anything in the container to put back in the freezer on ice cream. It's like, no, you can do that, and you can actually make that decision. But you have to have reasons, and I'm going to tell you how that relates to that thing about, you would go and you were like a robot. You would lock yourself in your office. What was it, 10 to 12 or how many hours that was?
I change it every day, 2 hours every day. I change it every day.
Yeah. And the thing is, we'd say, because you would say that at meetings, you would share that. Because people are listening now. The point I'm going to make now is why thinking and understanding and having the goals and the purpose for what you're doing has got to be firmly in your mind before you say you'll actually do the things you've already heard people tell you to do to get where you want to go. So you would tell us, this is what I do. We want to know, why is Bill... back at that time, we only had 2 or 3 people making 6-figure incomes in the company, and you were one. It was like, how does this guy do it? Well, and you get up there and they say, well, and this was before we went into distribution, recruiting, training, opening offices. The only option was to be a salesperson. And I, of course, like everybody else, despised prospecting because you despise hearing the no's. And I was too stupid to not figure out what Sam Shepard did. He said, I don't prospect, I go looking for friends. I go friend to friend to friend. Well, to me, I was go looking for sales, and so it's a whole different thing, and you're going to get more rejection when you just approach people, and they're pretty early in the thing, they find out that you're trying to push something on them. And so it's unpleasant. And the idea of doing that 2 hours a day on the phone is just, I knew what you did, but I would have probably done it back then had I really been clear on your thinking about why you were doing it. $1 million income, 2 hours, do this, and that pushing that domino every day. If I push that domino, that will ripple into, or that will origami out into all of the great things I want in life, but I've got to push that first domino every day for, what'd you say, 10 years or something?
Right.
And save $4,000 a month, that type thing. If I'd understood that, I would have probably done it. But I didn't really have that clear in my head. All I had was, you got to be kidding. 2 hours a day, and they're talking to numbskulls on the phone? No. Because I was always looking for other ways. That's why thinking is so important. Do you find that interesting?
I do. And I got to first, Larry, tell a little story about you and me. We went out to lunch at one of the conventions, and you were not eating then like you're eating now.
Yeah.
And you had a big, juicy, greasy old cheeseburger dripping at the sides.
Yeah.
Big order of fries. Then you said, Bill, can I say the blessing? Bless us, this Lord, to the nourishment of our body. It had nothing to do with nourishment. It had to do with lust.
Yeah.
You didn't want him to nourish your body. If you nourished me, you would have ordered it.
I was asking for a turning water into wine miracle for that. That he could turn those fries and the greasy cheeseburger into a nutritious meal. See, you misunderstood the prayer there, what I was asking for, Bill.
Every time I hear that prayer said, I think of you. It's just that way. And I've even said it. Larry, the thing about it, I had monetized everything I did. so that I knew I wanted to make, let's say, $1,000 a week. Well, I knew I had to have 10 appointments a week to have that. So I didn't have an appointment. I was making $100. So I went and saw you. I made $100 if you said yes, no, or whatever you said. Then I figured out that in order to get an appointment, I had to call 4 people. So now I was not making, to make $100, I had to call 4 people. So I wasn't just working, I was making $25 a phone call. Now understand, my mom and dad were minimum wage people making $4 and $5 an hour. Now I'm making $25 on a phone call.
Yeah.
So to me, this is brilliant. I'm making $25 every time I make a phone call. That's when minimum wage. I mean, people were making $8 an hour, $5 an hour. So I thought I was in high cotton, making $25 per phone call. So I thought, you know what? I want to make more money. And so what I did, I made more phone calls. I didn't work harder. I made more money. I was working to make money. I wasn't working to work.
Yeah.
I didn't work to work. If you're not going to pay, if I'm not going to get paid for a phone call, I'm not going to work. If I'm not going to get paid for an appointment, I'm not going to do it. Even to this day in our business, I tell people you make $500 per new associate you attract into your company. $500.
Yeah.
And it takes 3 appointments to get one, so you're making about $180 per appointment.
Right.
And it takes 4 phone calls, you're making a ton of money. So my mom was a piece worker. She worked on piecework, which means she got paid by the piece, not the hour. And that's where I learned that.
Yeah. And the thing is, I figured that out on my own in another way when I moved up to North Carolina. We were the first expansions. You moved when the company decided we were going to expand out of Atlanta, Georgia, and take over the universe. You were the first one to move to Dallas, and I moved up to North Carolina. And so what I did there, Bill, was an extension, because the people are out who don't have things going on right now. The hardest thing is to get yourself to do the right things on a consistent basis and to work it out that these actions, I'm putting money in the bank. When I do this, I'm putting money in the bank. It's not there, but I'm filling up the pipeline. There's a pipeline. I know that this action will lead to another action, will lead to another action, will lead to money in my pocket that I can put in the bank. And so you've got to have that worked out where you can connect. You're not going to do it consistently. You know, you might do a blitz, psych yourself up, but you're not going to make it a way of life until you get worked out the activity that you're doing, even though nobody else sees it. Maybe it turns into a disaster, whatever, but I'm putting money in the bank when I do this. I'm building that this is going to turn into money. And so what I did was I went to the mall and I got a little brandy sniffer. I only found out later it was a brandy sniffer, but since I don't drink, but a little brandy sniffer and had activity printed on it. So I called it a jar. I didn't know it was a brandy sniffer. I said it was a jar. So I called it my activity jar. And I'm up there all by myself, broke, insanely underfunded. And so what I did was I had it worked out in my mind. Every phone call or every person I approached as I went around, that was an effort to move forward. So I gave myself a penny for that. Okay. Right. And that was a penny in the jar. And then if I actually got a conversation, it was like a nickel. Like if they responded in any way, like if I made a phone call and they picked up, that was a nickel. And then if we actually had a conversation where we were have some kind of interaction, that was a dime. And then if we set up an appointment where we had an appointment, that was a quarter. That was my whole system right there. That I was trying to work, doing all these things to get up to a face-to-face appointment. Now, whether I got a sale or not, I didn't have anything for that because I was just trying to get myself to do activity that would turn into sales. And I was only able to keep that thing going for like 3.5 months. But by the end of 3.5 months, things were so chaotic that I couldn't keep up with it anymore. I had the tornado started. I had the flurry of activity. I had anteed up to have all of this activity and people coming in, prospects and prospective clients and things, pending deals and all of that in 3.5 months. But it all started with me, only the lonely, in that office, trying to psych myself up that what I'm doing now matters. Like, it's got to matter. You got to have it. This matters to me, getting where I want to go, which is money, income, substantial, where I can do the things I need to do for necessities with the family and all, but then beyond that to financial independence. And so I actually figured out another version of what you were doing, and I could have probably done it faster in Atlanta had I known more about your thinking on why you were doing that activity. That's why there's thinking, and you're not going to get that from an interviewer. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And the guys who haven't done anything, because we've had to work this thing through to the final thing. Now, they may talk about it, Bill. They may talk about it, but they're not going to emphasize it. You got to emphasize this stuff, because what's emphasized is what sticks, gets down into
Right.
You got to get this not just in your brain, folks. You got to get it in the marrow of your bones, so that no matter how you're attacked, if people argue with you in the circumstances, you're not changing. It's in your marrow. It becomes part of you. It's in your DNA. It goes way beyond a stupid habit. Becomes your DNA, because you have locked that in mentally, And so when I say that, what's your bounce back on that?
Well, I think what you're saying is you have to monetize and put a price on and value of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm doing it because I got to work hard, and when you're getting paid to do it, you're going to do it. And that's what you did for 3.5 months. You monetized it. Every business monetizes. Starbucks looks at how many people walk into Starbucks, and they monetize that. Every time someone walks in, they get about $6 a purchase. Their job isn't to get them to up to 10. Their job is to how many more people can we get in. And so when you monetize things, even baseball players, these pitchers that make $30 million a year, they're really making about $2,000 per pitch.
Yeah, right.
So they monetize it. And once you monetize,
that's off-season training program. In a whole year, they're getting $2,000. If they go out, toss in the backyard to warm up in the off-season, that's $2,000,
And if you pay me to do something, I'll do it. My son was in high school. He was struggling in math. And I went to the headmaster and I said, what do we have to do to get him to do better grades? He said, oh, it's easy. I said, what? He said, bribe him.
That's exactly it. It's exactly it.
Bribe? What do you mean? Well, offer him something financial. And so he wanted something. I said, if you get better grades, I'll give you this thing. And he did. And we said, well, he shouldn't have to do that. And the man said, well, how's your way working? Everything is bribery. You take a look at our salvation.
Yeah.
Larry, God is bribing us.
Yeah.
If you believe in my son, Jesus Christ, you will have eternal life and all your sins are wiped away.
Yeah.
How about that one? No, I'm not taking that deal. I'm taking that deal. You bribe me. I have eternal life coming.
Treasures in heaven. And possibly. So the thing is, Art made, our good buddy Art, he doesn't care, he doesn't supervise how I talk about him, what I reveal about him, but Art in many ways, he's like all of us. We talk so much, you say things that really hit the nail on the head and you're not even realizing you're doing it, But I've always thought of Art as almost an idiot savant on winning and success, because every time I ask him later, do you remember you said that? He'll go, no.
Yeah.
I
had to write that book for him to remember everything.
Yeah. which is a fabulous book. And what's the title of that book? They can find it on Amazon.
Locker Room Notes.
Locker Room Notes from Art Williams. I mean, that is and what he was teaching us how to think. That's what all that stuff was. We'd have the meetings, handouts, and he'd go through it. It's like 100, I can remember like 176 things. If you do these things, you'll win. And then he would read them to us. It's just like, I can read. Put a little color behind it. Tell a story. No, football coach going through the playbook. And, but he said this one time to me at lunch. He said, you've got to, describing the process, he said, you've got to get yourself to the point where you're doing enough. People say, how much? How long would it take? Whatever it is. His answer, you got to get to where you do enough of what? The right things.
Right thing.
Enough of the right things when? On a daily basis. Why? To win. To be successful. And you get that's the zone. People wonder, the zone. This is how to get in the zone. Here's the zone. Let me define the zone for you. Flow. The book Flow? Let me define it for you from my background of talking about this stuff nonstop for 40 plus years. It's when you get yourself into that flow of where you're doing enough. Whatever the priority of the moment is, you're doing enough of the right, that whatever the project du jour, or to get to the next milestone in an area of your life, you're doing enough of the right things on a daily basis to be successful. And so that's what we're talking about when we come to activity. You don't have to get right today up to that level if you're starting out, but that's where you want to head. And that's why you want, that's how you want to ramp up. Every pro team in every sport, before they play the game, they don't come out of the locker room and blow the whistle and play the game. They get out on the field and they warm up, loosen up, they ramp up. And so the thing is, it may take you a while to ramp up to this level of activity, but you can start heading in that direction. But your goal is to get up to that activity level where you're doing enough of the right things on a daily basis to be successful. And so,
Larry, you talked about that in your book, Serial Winner.
Yeah.
Again, serial winner means they do, no matter what enterprise they get into, it's the same thing. They're going to figure out, do what it takes. They're serial winners.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that out. And I am really thrilled with the information we got here today. Because,
Larry, let me give you one last point.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life where I needed to have a better marriage. My marriage was not the way I wanted it to be, and I read a book called The 5 Love Languages. And if you ever read the book, it's 5 different ways you can show love to another human being. And so I declared that in order to have a better marriage, I had to have 10 points a week. Uh-huh. If I did the dishes, point. If I gave her a rose, that was a point. And I figured it out. I just got to do 10 points a week. And she finally said to me, "Are you doing this for a point?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Doesn't make any difference as long as you do it." And I kept that up for almost 2 years. So I'm on a point system, and realized at the end of the week, the points are gone, and I got to start all over again.
But that's the whole deal.
That's the whole point.
If you can't manage yourself, it's not like it should be this way or should be that way. The deal is, it is the way it is. I am the way I am. And so, like for me to travel, like you've done a lot of traveling in your life, for me to travel, I keep a list of fun things I want to do in different cities. Like next time I go to Los Angeles, I want to go to this restaurant or this store, or go to, someone told me about this beach they've got there, or New York. If I go to New York, I've just got a list of them. So the way I trick myself into traveling, like someone wants you to speak or something, which I don't do anymore, but the way I get myself to do it is I'm going to go and do the fun things. And by the way, I'll stick that in along the side. It's just the way I am, it's how I keep myself from just saying no to everybody. But you've got to, the hardest, and we'll wrap it up on this. I've heard this and I believe it. The hardest thing you've got to do in your life is keep yourself. You keep yourself excited about what you've got to do. Not let yourself get bored. Not let yourself get sidetracked.
That's right. Exactly right.
That's like people say, and I talk to people about getting in the winning groove. That's what this is all about. You keeping yourself excited about doing the things you need to do to get the things you want that attract you and that turn you on, that you're intrigued with, excited about. And so you can stay excited, And my thing is like, I used to have this thing, why not you, that I use as an introduction when I speak. And I had all of these flashes because I didn't have a big video production thing. So it was all just pictures and music. But, Maseratis, big phone, big homes, vacation things, great things with your kids, great things here, great things there in your life. And people go, as soon as you start playing it with the music, and some of it would show like where I'm with family, different family members, we're up on top of a mountain skiing or something, or we're out on or me and my mother in a helicopter when we went to Vegas to that convention and we went over the Grand Canyon. And, some of the shots of me in there, but then they're just also showing things. And you know what? Inevitably, you get people go, wow. And that's on YouTube, by the way. Why not you? Little short thing. But it's just spontaneous, guttural reactions from the crowd. They're like, ooh, wow. Well, people are so afraid of being materialistic. Like, oh, that's not right to be. Hey.
That's right.
If your lust for a Lamborghini causes you to get off your butt and go to work and start making the changes you need, go for a Lamborghini or go for a motorcycle or go for a house or go for a vacation in Hawaii in 2 years and being able to take, or the Holy Land or whatever, or tour Europe or whatever. Some of these kind of things are be able to take a weekend and go and spend a week in London and shop and go to all the plays. If that's something that will turn you on, that say, oh, that's just materialistic. That's shallow, this, that, and the other. No, it's very valuable if it gets your butt in gear, because once you get up to the point where you actually can afford to do it, you might not even do it because it might not even matter to you that much. But what you got to do is get something to strike that fire inside of you. And if it's, like Jack Schulman in the original, one of the original stars, his whole thing was he wanted to work like a dog so he could buy a motorhome. A Winnebago, the Winnebago dream got him to launch, and he set records and did this, that, and the other, did legendary thing, and that inspired the whole rest of the company. And so, turn yourself loose to go for things you want to go. Those things are in there for a purpose. It doesn't make you shallow, materialistic, or this, that, and the other. It makes you motivated if you'll give yourself permission to go for it like that. And so I'm going to give you the final word here, Bill.
Like Virginia Carter said, I'm going to do today what others won't. But again, why? So I can have tomorrow what others can't. It's deferred gratification. We're living the life today that we love, Larry, and we enjoy because we did back then what we didn't want to do, so we can have what we did want to have. Everyone thinks, you love recruiting, you love working, no, I tolerated it so I can have the life we're living today. And I'm so glad we did, and I don't know why we did it, but I'm glad we did.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Bill. This has been great.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks for listening to this episode of $1 Million Mastermind with me, Larry Weidel. If I've helped you in any way, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. For more information like this, listen to our other $1 Million Mastermind episodes and check out my Wydell Academy YouTube channel and visit us on WydellOnWinning.com. I'm the $1 Million Mastermind, and until next time, go, go, go.